Hi everyone, my name is Liz. I'm a teen librarian for Cecil County Public Library. I work at the Perryville branch, and I'm just creating a little video today to show you guys a hobby that I've taken up a little while ago for creating cards for my family. I try and just to save money, I try and make my own cards instead of buying them from the store. But it's a really cool way to be creative and make something for someone you love. So this is something that you can do just using anything that you have in your house, any paper product, used magazines, cardboard, recyclable items, stickers, um, old books or magazines. You can use all kinds of cool things, and I'm going to show you guys that today. And I'm going to also show you a digital option that you can also use if making a physical card isn't possible. But just to kind of show you some examples of some cards that I've made in the past and just show you an example of what I'm going to show you guys today. Um, I really like to use photography, and I like to make my cards into 3D just to make them a little more exciting. So this one I used some old paper and some photographs, and you can see I added some foam to create a cool 3D effect. I have another one here I was going to do for Mother's Day. Um, and you can see I added some foam, and I have some magazine clippings and cool recycled paper that I used for that one. So this is just an example of what I'm going to show you guys today. And if that's not an option for you, I'm going to show you guys some digital options that you can use as well. So one website that I like to use personally, there's a lot of different websites that use e-cards, but one of my favorites is called Canva. You can make a free account on Canva. It's really easy. You just set up an email and password. But if you look up online for e-cards, you can see that they have a free e-card designer. You just click Start Designing an e-card. You can pick a bunch of different sizes. They have a lot of really cool little templates. You can add your own little video clips. You can upload your own pictures, pick all kinds of cool backgrounds and clip art. So this one has some options if you aren't able to put things together in your house. You can also get some really cool ideas using our Creative Bug service that has a lot of neat templates for card making and a lot of other different crafts. You just go to the events and classes under our website, so cecil.ebranch.info. And there's a lot of different e-services that e-card services that you could use. But in my tutorial, I'm going to show you a way to make your own card and what kinds of things you can use. The big thing before you start making your card is to make sure that the materials that you collect are okay to cut up, just to make sure that you're not cutting up any sentimental photos or cutting up any magazines or anything that your family wanted. The other big thing is to think about who you want to make it for, whether you want to make it for mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, your siblings. Think about how you can make someone smile and make someone feel better, because I know this is a really hard time for everyone, but I know that getting a card or getting something sentimental that shows someone that you care, you can really brighten up someone's life and make someone feel better. So this is something that you can do for your family, for your community. And in my little tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can make something like this at home.
So here are some of the materials that you could potentially use for your greeting card. And these are just some things that I typically use when I like to make my cards. Um, One of the things that's fun to use if you have them lying around and no one's using them is to cut up old magazines, which is one of the things that I like to do, especially when I'm making collages or making funky cards that I want to look kind of different. I also just like look through recyclables, use anything you have around your house, anything that's going to get thrown out anyways, even just like old cardboard boxes, cereal boxes, anything that could give you some cool things to work off of. Be as creative as possible because anything could be potentially artistic that you could use for your project. You can also use old wrapping paper around your house, old tissue paper, origami paper, pretty much any paper that could give you kind of a cool effect. Old wrapping paper sometimes has little shiny bits to it and can have really cool patterns. So those could potentially be cool for backgrounds for you for your card. You will need some kind of base for your card. I use cardstock, which is a little bit firmer, but you can use anything around your house. You can use printer paper. You can use construction paper. Pretty much anything that you have. You can use cardboard. Whatever you have that would make your card that you could show or send to somebody else. One of my favorite things to use is old photographs. I know everything is so digitized nowadays, but if you have some old photographs lying around that you aren't using, like I said, making sure that you ask your family first before you cut anything up. But I love to take apart old photographs, and that's part of what I'm going to use in the card that I show you guys today. So my favorite subjects are works of art, animals. You can see those are 2 poison dart frogs, and flowers. But you may have something special that you like and you gravitate towards. So that's just one example. You can also use stickers. If you have old stickers lying around, they can be really cool. These are some 3D stickers too, so they can add some extra effect. So just like I said, think about what you have in your house, what you have. If you have some old craft supplies that you're not using, you can use those towards your card. When I'm making a card, I like to add sparkles and embellishment and kind of make it look cool. So think outside the box and think about what you might have in your house that has some sparkle to it. I love, I have just like some old glitter pens. They're always good. I like to add a little bit more. I like to use cool colored tape. You can use washi tape if you have any of that around. That can be cool to use as a border or to hold your photography down, whatever you like to use. But my biggest hack that I really like to add a little bit something to my card, I like to use nail polish, which I know sounds silly. But like I said, think outside the box. Think whatever you have in your craft area, in your bedroom, that you could potentially use to make your card look special. Try and think outside the box a little bit. The biggest thing that you're going to need to create the 3D effect and to fix everything to your card is you're going to need some kind of adhesive. So one of the things I like to use, you have a big glue stick, but you can use clear glue, Elmer's glue, whatever you need to stick your pieces down to your card. You can use just regular Scotch tape if you like. I like the clear type, but if you're trying to mount your photos on your card, you can certainly use tape. I like to use craft foam when I mount my card together, just because it gives it a little bit more volume and makes it stick up a little bit more. But you can certainly use anything you have in your house. Use other paper, use tape, use cardboard, anything that you need to do to add a little more structure to your card. This is just one example. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of how to make an actual card, if you'll follow me through these steps. So when you're making your card, the first thing you're going to need to do is to pick out a piece of paper for the base of your card. So you'll want to think about some of the colors that you're using. What color do you think that's going to look good, and what color you have available to you. So I decided, since it's spring and I want it to be nice outside, I picked something colorful. I like to use orange. So I decided I'm going to make a card for my mom for Mother's Day. Next, you're going to need to pick out your subjects. So you want to think about, like I said, what you have available to you, who you want to make the card for, and what you want to put in the card. So for my subjects, I wanted to mix a series of pretty flowers, and this is a picture of my old dog Tippy. So the next thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to cut out your the pieces of your card. And this is probably the part where you want to concentrate the most. And you want to think about what parts of your card you want to stand out and how you want to make it 3D. Showing you in my example. In my card here, you can see that that I added several different 3D elements. This card is on the bottom, so this one's flat. Then I added the flowers next, and then I added the frogs, so you can kind of see how they look 3D. So you want to think about how you want to make your subjects stand out on the card. If you want them to kind of sit up like this, if you want them to kind of be behind the dog, think about where you want that next. So next, you're going to need a pair of scissors. They don't have to be super sharp scissors, just to get through your photograph, but you want to make sure that they can cut through pretty good so that you don't damage the photograph. Like I said, before you cut, make sure that it's something that you're allowed to cut up. So I'll show you how I'm going to probably cut around the subject in order to make my card pop. So now that I have him cut out, I'm going to decide what else I want to cut out in order to make him more 3D. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to cut around his head here, and then that will be a separate piece. So next I'm going to cut out the flowers. Now you can make this as complicated as you want. You could actually cut around some of the different petals and make the flowers more 3D. You could just cut this whole thing out and put that behind the dog. You can be as complex or as simple as you want to be. That is totally up to you and how much you want to cut your photo down. But I think I'm going to try something a little more challenging. I think I'm going to cut out this flower into 2 pieces, and I think I'm going to cut this whole flower as a whole. So I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. Okay, so I have all my pieces cut out. They're all ready to go to put on my card. But before I add anything, I'm going to go ahead and set these aside, and I'm going to pick a background for my card. You don't have to do this. You could just do the photographs or magazine clippings, whatever you like. But I like to add a background just to make it look a little nicer. My dog grew up in the country, so I'm going to make it more of like a kind of homey country background. So you can cut this up, you can make it into different shapes, you can layer it in different ways. You could use more than one background if you wanted to, but I'm just going to use this one and just lie it here. So I'm going to go ahead and add some glue to it. And you may have to do this a couple times because sometimes it doesn't always stick and it can rip and wrinkle a little bit. So you want to be careful when you're applying this, that you get as much glue on there as you can, and that you do it as quickly as you can so that the glue doesn't dry. I'm going to go ahead and add this. Put on there as straight as you can, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And like I said, you might have to go back in and add some glue to it. Since it's real thin, it may be hard to get all on there. Okay. All right, so that looks good. So next is going to be figuring out how you want to lay out your card, and what you want to be flat, what you want to pop out. So I think for mine, I want the dog's body to go on the bottom. So that part won't be popping out. So you can go ahead and just add some glue. And go ahead and figure out where you want him to go. I'm going to go ahead and put him right here. Okay. Now we want to go ahead and see where you want to put some of the other parts. If you want to lay anything flat, if you want anything to pop out, and how much you want it to pop out. So you want to kind of think about these things before you go ahead and glue anything down, because it's going to be kind of hard to fix it once you get started. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding some of the 3D elements to make things pop out. So this is where I'm going to need my foam, or if you want to use rolled up tape, you can do that too. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how I usually do it. So for my little doggy's head, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. And usually with these, they have double-sided adhesive, which is really nice. And I'm going to go ahead and add a few. You want to make sure that you space them out evenly so that the card isn't lopsided. So go ahead and remove the adhesive here. And go ahead and attach. And you want to try and line it up as close as possible with the lines so that you get the 3D looking effect and it doesn't look lopsided. Okay, so there's his head. You can see it's a little bit popped out, so he looks a little bit more real, which is really cool. So now how about we go ahead and add the flowers. So if I wanted to kind of create some more interest, I think I'm going to go ahead and pop these out too. And what you can do is if you want it to be higher, you can add more of your foam. But I think I'm going to go ahead and just add the same amount. Remember to space it out evenly. And figure out what orientation you want things to be too. Do you want it to be like this? Do you want it to be kind of quirky and be upside down? I think for my pupper here, I'm gonna go ahead and do it like this. And you don't want to smush it down too much or it'll kind of take that 3D effect away. So here you can see I added the flowers and I have one more flower left to add. So I think with this one, I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'm going to put this on the bottom. So this is actually what you can do is you can cut up your subject a little bit more. So then you'd have this one higher, this one lower, and it would make it look like the flower was more 3D and it would look more real. So I think with this, since it's orange and it kind of goes into the background, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this one a little bit higher than the other one. And I'm going to just put one on this one. And you want to try and get it where it's not sticking out too much because that might ruin the effect a little bit. You can always cut it down a little bit or just use a little bit of tape. And like I said, you want to make sure that everything lines up okay. So let's say that I want this flower to be right here. So there's that. So this one, I'm going to make it even higher than the other one. So it'll pop out even more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 layers of the foam. This looks a little crazy, but it's going to be really cool. So you can see this one has a lot to it. So like I said, you're going to line it up. And like I said, try not to push down too much. And there we go. Okay. So there we go. Looks kind of cool. Looks 3D. Like I said, you can do this with anything. You don't have to necessarily do it with photographs. But that's just one technique that you can do. Let's say that you wanted to add a little bit. You could go ahead and add some nail polish. I like to add it sometimes to the eyes to make it look like they're popping a little bit more. You always want to have, it's kind of a cardinal rule of photography, to have a little bit of light, have a little bit of flash in someone's eyes so that they look a little bit more livened up. So you can add there for a little sparkle. You can add a little bit too. I like to add it to some of the other elements. Or you could add it to the background. And you could write on the card too. Write a nice message. Write something to help one of your loved ones feel better. Write something to mom or dad. uncle, aunt, grandma, grandpa, anything to kind of make them feel a little bit better during this time. And even if it's something really simple that you don't add a lot to, anything that you make can be really special. So don't feel like you need to make anything fancy. Just use your creativity and make something special for someone you love.